Now, they stand on this all day. You can give it a lot of weight. That's why it's nice to be able to come over and actually like use a little body weight. Instead of trying to push like this, you're going to strain your shoulder and stuff like that. Just come in here and just let your body do the work. So I'm lengthening the calcaneus. So what muscle am I on? We got a couple primary good choices. Yep. Gastroc is a good suggestion, and soleus. But it's only one of those two. It's soleus. And the reason it's not gastroc, this was on the pre-quiz. Because the knee is bent. When the knee is bent, gastroc is not engaged. It's just it hangs flaccid. Okay, but soleus doesn't cross the knee, so knee position doesn't affect it. Gastroc crosses the knee. So the reason for that, if these are my gastroc heads coming up with the tendons on the femur, watch from the side. As I bend the knee, the tendons just bunch up. So now they've got nothing to pull on because they're just bunched up in there. Whereas soleus stops right here. So as I bend the knee, it's still nice and solid. It can engage, and she can point her toes towards the ceiling.
Like a ballerina.
Like a ballerina. There you go.
Just thought I'd help there, Jason.
Thanks. I thought most people know what point the toes meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You did a great job. Great job. You did a great toe pointing.
No, you're fine.
That's a crinkle toe. Right. So wrap around the inside, grab the calcaneus, drop the weight. Stretches soleus. Okay, thank you. Face up, please. Next up, I'm still going to grab the calcaneus. I'm still going to have their foot against my forearm, and I'm just kind of lean forward. Again, I'm using my body weight. Some people like to come down here and they like to push. I'm not a fan of this for a couple reasons. Number one, I feel like it's less stable, and I'm having to use more of my body, but some of you will find that that's your preference. That's fine. I like to do this one. I feel like it's nice and secure, and I get to, I'm ambitiously lazy. So I like to just fall forward and let that do the stretching.
Okay.
Now I'm still moving the calcaneus up, so it's basically the same action, but now the knee is straight. So, trick question, which muscle am I stretching? Gastroc and soleus. Because soleus is stretched anytime, it's engaged anytime we go through this action, but gastroc is not added. So if I really want to stretch both muscles really well, which muscle should I always stretch first? I should do soleus first. Because if I do this stretch, I don't know whether they're feeling soleus or gastroc because they're both active. Right? But if I do the soleus one first and I get soleus relaxed, now I go to this, well now gastroc has to take the brunt of it.
That
Make sense? Okay. Same thing at the gym, by the way. Work your soleus by doing, they have this little machine where you sit, there's weights on your knees and you raise your knees.
And that's the same thing as like doing calf, right?
Yeah, except do it with the bent knee one first. Then they have a standing machine or just a barbell or just weights. Do the bent knee one first, then the straight leg one. Okay, so that was gastroc and plantaris. They're in one paragraph, but they're not the same. I'm sorry, nope, that's not right. We did soleus first, then we did gastroc and plantaris. They both cross the knees, so the knee needs to be straight to be effective. Cool. Peroneus longus, brevis, tertius, and then finally tibialis anterior. All right, all the rest of these go from the lateral leg down and across the ankle. So, peroneus, a little bit of vocabulary. We had this in the very first day where we learned the names for body regions. And we learned, for example, crus meant leg, right? And we learned the word peroneal region. What was peroneal? Good question. We have 3 muscles in this chapter named after. Where were they all at? It's the lateral leg. Out here, the side of the leg. So the whole leg is crus, lateral leg is the peroneal or fibular region. Okay? So we've got peroneus longus and brevis. They both come down to the outside of the foot, kind of coming past this little bony point here on the outside of the foot. And they go behind the malleolus or front of the malleolus? Behind. So if I want to create more length, so what they're going to end up doing is the tendon's going to pull to the back of the ankle. Notice as it pulls up, it causes the, I'm going to pull on her side, causes this thing to happen. It's pulling on the outside of the foot, so this thing's going to happen. So it does what actions? This action is plantar flexion and eversion. It's trying to escape. So if I want to stretch a muscle, I just need to know its actions and do the opposite. So I can dorsiflex and invert. Know its actions, do the opposite. Okay? That does pretty well for stretching pretty much any muscle in the body. All right, so that's for those two because they both go the same way. Peroneus tertius, he's the third, he's the smallest, longest, brevis tertius, the third. He's a little tertius. That tendon comes in front of the ankle, which tells me when he pulls up, he's going to dorsiflex. He's still attaching to the outside, so he still does eversion. Since he did dorsiflexion, I'm going to plantar flex. Since he did eversion, I'm going to invert. So I'm dorsiflex and invert. So this can work two ways. I mean, if you know the action, you can create the stretch. And by knowing where the tendon is, you know the action. Visual learners in the house. This is the section that really we really shine. Because if in your mind you say peroneus tertius and you just have an image of the muscle, then from just that one image you can say it goes up that way and pulls out, because that's where the tendon is. And then for the stretch, you just do the two opposites. If you're not a visual learner, then I don't know how your brain works. Then you have to just go through other forms. Like, for example, I was doing a test with a student, bone test with a student, quarter one upper body bone test. I was asking her a question. I'd be like, show me the lateral epicondyle. She's like, oh, that's number 9. She had memorized all the numbers. So she knew where it was, but she's like,
I
number
do that
9.
too.
9. So that to me is unnecessary information, but that's how her brain works. That's fine. If you're a person who just memorizes words and not pictures, and you can just remember tertius does plantar, then it has to be in front, and it does eversion, has to be the outside. But work how your brain works. And then to do the stretch, you're going to do just what the opposite was. If it did dorsi, we want to do plantar. If it did evert, we stretch by inverted. With the stretch, you always do the opposite. Make sense? Okay. So that was solely peroneus longus brevis as well as tertius. Last is tibialis anterior. When we talk about the front of the leg, this medial side is almost all bone. You're like, oh no, there's muscle right here. That's actually the muscle from the back. That's soleus. That's one part of your calf muscle. Okay? On the lateral side is where all the muscle is. And really, it's just one big muscle. There's other deeper muscles behind it. We'll talk about more of those next week. But really, on the front side, you go look at the muscle guy, you got a big chunk of bone on the medial side and one big muscle on the lateral side. He is tibialis anterior. I think this was one of the pre-quiz questions. And I think some people missed it, even though the question specifically said what muscles on the anterior side. And the answer was tibialis anterior. Yeah. So, I feel like some people probably read that question and they thought, he's trying to trick me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Uh-huh. Yep. Nope. Sometimes the simple answer is the simple answer.
What I missed too.
Yeah. So this guy right here, tibialis anterior, he's on the lateral side, but his tendon, when it comes to knowing what these muscles do, it doesn't matter where the muscle is, it matters where the tendon goes. So even though he's on the lateral side, his tendon crosses to the medial side of the ankle. If he's attaching to the medial side and he pulls up, he causes, see, she kind of does it when I pull. Oh, look at that. It does what? Inversion, because it's attaching to the inside. And it goes in front of the ankle. If it goes in front, it causes dorsiflexion. Anything attaching behind any tendon going behind causes plantar. Any tendon going in front causes dorsi. Since this one's going in front at dorsi, inside invert, that's the action. So to stretch it, we want to evert and plantars. I tend to go with plantar first and then evert it. down, and out. It's creating length between the attachment here and the attachment here. Okay? I'm not just trying to show you the stretches, I'm trying to lay down a foundation of these are guiding principles that help you across all the muscles. Yeah? Cool. I think that was our last one. Good deal. Grab a client's ankle, twist it around.